We interrupt this program to bring you a special news.
This is London. From the United Press. Bring you this important bulletin from the United Press.
This is not a test. Every Tuesday, the Journey into Comics Network will bring you The Poor Rapport, your one-stop podcast shop for everything news and topics of personal interest. I am your host, Andrew Poor, and you can hear me every Tuesday.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Journey into Comics, the podcast about everything nerd, with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stone.
We've come a long way from the Prime Minister's exploding cake. Or have we?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Journey into Comics. It's episode 175. I am your host, Nate. As always, joining me today is the Jack Kirby to my Stan Lee, the one, the only, Brando. How you doing today, dude?
Welcome, true believers, to Journey into Comics 175. Nate, we are nearing another this is another landmine episode as I said landmine, I think I meant landmark.
I hope it's not an explosive episode.
It's not. It's going to be a pretty explosive episode, sure, but 175, man, coming in through, it gets to a point, and I think that's what I'm going to start doing after 200, where until we reach another 00 number, I'll be like, this is just another episode. This is just another thing, because it gets to a point where maybe I psych myself out saying, oh, man, this episode has to be this because it's this number and it's got to be up to this par. Dude, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. We got to come in and week out, deliver some great content to all of our great listeners, and who I want to welcome right now into the show. And, Nate, today we have absolutely nothing on the docket. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We didn't put up a plan. We don't have a game plan. We don't have a rundown. This is like literally you and me early in the it's not even early in the morning anymore because it took you so long.
It's not as early as it was.
No, it took you so long to roll out of bed that I've been sitting here. I've already eaten breakfast. I've already cracked into my first caffeinated beverage of the day, and it's gotten to a point of where originally I think I was going to do another show today, but now it's like I don't want to.
No, just keep it loose today, Brando. My thing is always, I think sometimes we do really good flying off the cuff on podcasts because it forces us to be our absolute best selves. We have to think on our feet and be able to just kind of be tangential, work our way into topics and stuff. Before we really get there, though, I want to say episode 175 has an interesting thing I have not told you about because I don't know if you know this, but since the Journey into Comics Network got into the month of December, every Journey into Comics episode that is an even number has made our top 10 in the past 3 months. However, if it is an odd number, it has not made our top 10 in the past 1 month. So 175, hopefully, will be a slobber knocker of an episode that will break this weird curse. It's so funny to look at because it's like 168, 170, 172, 174. I'm like, holy shit, we're the evens.
When you said the word tangential, it made me think of Robin Williams as the genie for some reason. And I'm just like, 175 is this magical, wonderful place.
That was a really good genie. No, Brando, it's cool because this show, it does work a lot on the idea of that we can just like kind of riff with our tangents and whatnot and just kind of go with the flow. There's not like a lot of really crazy news. There's a lot of like topics I want to kind of touch on. Nothing really in my mind sticks out right out the gate, but I'm going to tell you some things I've been doing that's going to kind of lead into this. So as everybody knows, and I'm not trying to just do a big long fucking start to show sales pitch, Brando, that's not what I'm about, but patreon.com/Journey into Comics, $3. Join the road to Patreon, or the road to Patreon. Holy shit. Oh, folks, I fucked that up. Join the Road to Infinity War on Patreon. We're doing every Infinity War. See, I'm off my game today. Let's start over, folks. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. So go to our Patreon at journeyintocomics.com or patreon.com / Today, I do not have the plugs in me for some reason. It's like it's coming out all not in the right order. Okay, I'm going to try one last.
You're like the sheriff of Rottingham from the Robin Hood
Men in Tights. Yes.
Like he's so dyslexic, he just starts picking up random words from the sentence in order.
Okay, folks, here we go. I'm going to try this again.
It's the existence of our train.
Train of our existence. Here we go. It's going to set me right. We're on track now because the train of our existence showed up.
Virate Pikings.
Virate Pikings. Okay, we'll remember that one too. Anyways, folks, go to patreon.com/Journey into Comics. Join the road to Infinity War. We're going to review every MCU movie. Brando and I started with Iron Man, working all the way to butt stuff, going to cover Black Panther, and then, of course, the very next day after that episode drops will be Infinity War. It will be time. You will have joined us on our road through Infinity War, where we're going to be discussing where you can find Stan Lee and all the cool cameos and all the neat Easter eggs and maybe some of the after-credit stuff, and where are the Infinity Stones within the MCU, and also, you know, what kind of crazy post-credits can they come up with? And I'm looking at you, Mr. 4 post-credit scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm only bringing up the Patreon stuff, Brando, because recently you and I didn't know you were doing this, but I knew I was doing this just because I have worked my way through the MCU in its entirety, front to back, as far as things that are released digitally and or physical release. So, of course, I haven't rewatched Thor Ragnarok. I did see that in theaters, and, of course, Black Panther's not out yet. But, man, it's been really kind of cool to reflect on the MCU, and it's nice to talk about it here while we still have a lot to go within the Infinity War that we're doing, because I think only episode 3 or 4 just dropped. No, 4 drops this week. But Stuff's review of Thor will drop on Wednesday.
Okay, so I'm not working my way through. I watched Iron Man. I watched Hulk because I helped out on the literature review, and I'm watching Thor: Dark World for Game Addicts review of that. Now, here's the thing. I'm actually trying not to go along because what I want to do, and I've been noticing this already, and you're going to hear it more in detail on the Game Addicts review of Thor: Dark World. This movie is a sequel. Yes, it is a sequel to Thor, but it's also a sequel in a sense to other movies because they reference other movies. In the plot, she says, "I saw you in New York," or on TV, "You were in New York." They don't say what it was.
It's the Avengers. You know it though because they created this universe.
But what if you've never seen this?
Then you don't understand that this is a sequel to 2 movies.
So, that's what I'm saying is that, yes, for most people, they understand. They get it. He was in New York at the incident with everything going on. But if this is your first time coming in, you've got to make this movie more accessible, and that is a detriment to me. For them to drop these little things where they're like, if you don't know it, you don't know what's going on. Literally, that should have been a little bit more of a sales pitch to go watch that one if you've never have. Do that in a way where they kind of did it later on with Loki turning into Cap.
A little bit, yeah. When he's walking with Thor.
Well, because first, he turns Thor into Lady Sif, and then he goes, "What? Oh, because maybe if I was one of your new friends." And then he turned into Cap, right? So it was so there's that, and then you kind of understand, oh, that's Captain America. Okay, yeah. I mean, granted, you have to be kind of living under a rock to not know what those movies are, but to the same token, you've got to constantly be thinking about scripting and words when you're looking at bringing in somebody brand new. This is their first exposure to this. Don't make them that confused. And I kind of feel like Thor: Dark World. I'm halfway through this freaking movie, and I know what's going on, and I'm still a little lost.
Oh, man. I can't wait to hear your guys' full review on that. Game Addicts had 2 movies. You guys are doing Thor: The Dark World, as you just said. You're also reviewing Ant-Man, and as I was saying off air, I really love that because Mike, I will never not hear him say this the other day when I was last with you guys. Mike said, "I've never seen Ant-Man." Mm-hmm. And that shocked me because I thought Mike was a pretty genuine Ant-Man fan. It's kind of how it's come off in a couple episodes of JIC. So I was a little bit more hopeful that he would give it a chance, and then, of course, things happen. It slips your mind. You just never get to it. I understand how that happens. So it's really awesome that his first time seeing it is going to be your guys' review.
He also hasn't seen Civil War.
Wow.
And they haven't. I don't think they've seen Doctor Strange either.
Man, and that, and that's one thing I also want to mention. It's kind of awesome in my rewatch of the entire MCU to notice how the Disney buyout slowly changed and rolled things over, and how you can slowly see the evolution of what they're trying to do. And then once the training wheels fell off, I think I really genuinely believe that they had a couple stumbles with Iron Man 3, which I give that movie a lot more credit now, rewatching it. I've said that before. It's definitely better as a Christmas movie. If you put that in your mind, this is like A Christmas Story, or this is like Elf, or this is like fucking Rudolph, If you put it in that, keep it in Christmas when you watch it, it helps to make Iron Man 3 a little bit better. And, of course, that's not my review, and I digress. However, it's like the Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World were a little bit of the MCU's really stumblings at the end there. That's right when, the Perlmutter news kind of broke and everything was starting to fall off the wheels there. And then, boom, Winter Soldier kicks ass. Guardians kicks ass. And everything after Winter Soldier, in my opinion, in the MCU has been solid. Now, Age of Ultron, good movie. Solid movie. We're going to be reviewing that on Foodies Watching Movies. Maybe I gave it a little bit too much praise when we originally reviewed it way back on I Am Ultron. Yeah. No strings on me. No. It was Journey into Ultron. Journey into Ultron.
I definitely think that movie's better than the original Avengers.
I agree.
But again, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it, because it isn't a perfect movie. But
it has some interesting flaws I found in my rewatch.
But it definitely is a lot more fun.
Truth. Oh, so much truth.
So, from that aspect, maybe I wouldn't give it as high as I gave it then, but on first watch, I remember really thoroughly enjoying the movie.
Yeah, it did the concept of the Avengers better than the first one. Because the concept of the Avengers in the first movie was getting the team to work together and that one shot.
Well,
and this movie was the actual character development of everyone. And
a lot of everyone, but you also get a lot more development with characters who either haven't or aren't getting another movie to themselves. And then you also have you already had the first one. It's okay, now we got this. Now we can what if Hulk did go rogue? How would they handle that? So now you get to see that kind of a thing play out.
Also, another thing I love is rewatching Age of Ultron, knowing what happens to Hulk and how that resolves in Ragnarok made me really thoroughly enjoy his character development, even more than I did the first time, because Ruffalo is just slaying as Banner. I think he's better as a ensemble character and not as a solo movie. Not to say that Ruffalo couldn't hang by himself. I don't want anybody to think that I don't want him to have his own fucking Planet Hulk, which is kind of what they did in Ragnarok, or World War Hulk or whatever. I'm all for that, but I just love so much more watching Mark Ruffalo, this genuinely beautiful actor. I don't mean that by his looks. I just think that he has this. There's a way about his face that can really easily move you, because he knows how to just convey what he's feeling, and that's strong. So to see him work with somebody I can't wait to see interaction between him and Tom Holland. It's going to be amazing, especially after the interaction he just had with Chris Hemsworth in the solo Thor movie. And then you think, it's every time Ruffalo has been on screen, it's been solid. I will say that's one of the probably best decisions that they made as far as a recast is concerned. Not to say that the Don Cheadle, Terrence Howard recast is bad. I just think that Terrence Howard is a little too chic to play Rhodey. I always envisioned Rhodey as a little bit more rugged. And that's no detriment to Don Cheadle, but we were talking about. Go ahead. Sorry,
I was just gonna say he's a little bit more of a rugged round ball player.
Oh yes, dropping that round ball reference, my friend. A couple things here on the docket. I did write some stuff down here. Did we talk about this? Okay, hold on. I'm going to do this in the right order so I don't fuck this up. First of all, earlier we were talking about what movies that Game Addicts has on the road to Infinity War, which you guys can find that information out on the Journey into Comics Facebook at facebook.com/Journey into Comics podcast. But, Brando, you guys have Ant-Man, right? It's 2018, and the Ant-Man sequel is coming out this year. It's like, holy shit, you forgot that it was even happening because Infinity War is just such this daunting thing in front of us. And it makes me very, almost terrified for Ant-Man and the Wasp because you have this mega, almost cliffhanger guaranteed movie, and then in between it and its sequel, you have Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, is that going to take place outside of the universe? Does Paul Rudd not make it through Infinity War, and this is a flashback story? I just don't know how they're going to place this in the timeline, or if everything is going to temporarily stop, and then it's just like Paul Rudd and his Scott Lang character on Earth, and everything's normal, and he's just being Ant-Man. Because Ant-Man and the Wasp is supposed to be a rom-com, Brando. The first rom-com in the MCU. But I don't know. Do you know about the controversy? Have you heard about what's going on with the Ant-Man and the Wasp?
No, I haven't. What's going on?
Oh, dude. Okay, so here's I don't want you to look anything up because I don't want your brain to spoil this for you, okay? I'm going to send you 2 pictures. And I've got to pull them up first. I'm going to send you 2 pictures. Now, I will say that here's a cool thing. The costumes for Ant-Man and the Wasp have really cool little hidden Easter eggs, okay? And I'm trying to get this article to pull up here. But each character has, like, okay, on the Wasp's actual outfit, even though it's not like something that's super highlighted that you can obviously tell, there are lines that make it look like a wasp face on her chest, right? And the same can be said for Ant-Man. It's really cool how they subtly did that. And I'm trying to see... Oh, that's not the picture I wanted. Sorry. Damn it. I hate that. Sometimes you pull up something on comicbook.com and you think that they've hooked you up, and all it is that they failed you. Ant-Man and I put Ands the Wasp. Ant-Man ends the Wasp. Toki. Oh my god, that would be hilarious. Toki reviews the MCU. Or Squizgar reviews the MCU. Okay, so let's look at these images here, because I'm sure one's going to be the one I want you to see. Okay. So, I'll send you this image first. Maybe. If I can actually... Okay, here it's pulling up on empire.com. Cool. Download image. Okay, I'm almost there. So, Brandon, what I'm going to ask you to do is... Like, I'm not saying this in a sexual manner, but when you look at this picture, I want you to look at her chest and notice that they're like eyes, and then in her collarbone region on the Wasp, it looks like antennas, right? I don't know if you can see that. There was a picture, I can't find it online. Let me see if I can find that one too. There was a better picture that had it like highlighted where you could actually like tell that there was like the cool little Easter egg thing. Of course, that has since disappeared from the interwebs because that's how shit works on the interwebs. Somebody did a really nice job of highlighting it. Anyways,
her suit almost looks like N7 armor. From like
her suit also looks kind of like a praying mantis a little bit if you look at...
A little bit, but
okay.
Like honestly, both suits look like they could be pulled right from Mass Effect.
Maybe they had some inspiration. Well, I don't know if, again, you probably can't tell, but Paul Rudd's suit also has like an ant face on it, which if I can find the highlighted picture at some point in the next couple days, I'll send it to you. But Brandon, here's where the switch happens. I want you to look at this picture, have the Wasp focused in, and then turn your phone upside down. What do you see?
Like the picture that you just sent me?
Yes. So here's the thing. There's great controversy because it looks like there's a giant penis pointing in between her legs on her costume. And people are obviously crying out, "Oh my God, it's so... You're sexually harming her, and this is so...
That is such an accident.
Incidental. 100%.
That is such an accident, man.
And especially if you go back and you look at the prototype armor that they show in the post-credit sequence of Ant-Man 1. It is the same fucking design. Nothing has changed. No one said shit then. No one's like, oh, in the post-credit scene, if you turn it upside down, it looks like a cock going to her legs. No one said that. Because you know what? It wasn't that big of a deal. But now we're in 2018. It's a big fucking deal if something might look unintentionally phallic. Are we at a point, Brando? I want you to give me your opinion here. Are we at a point now where people are just looking for this shit?
Yep.
God damn it. It's frustrating.
I mean, and it's not just like, overly sexualizing stuff. It's finding things that in your brain associating them with things. So it's like whether or not they're, you see something and you see, like, for example, this is something that happened, and it's like, okay, so there's a baby doll.
Uh-huh.
And, like, it happens to be an African-American black baby doll. And next to it is an empty space and there are two prices, like underneath. And these are clearanced out. One is priced lower. The other one is priced a little higher. And then you get, like, all it says on there is Hasbro. And you get the thought of, wow, okay, so they're really, like, selling this one for a lot cheaper then. Really? But they're actually two different things made by the same company, two different products. It's not even the same doll. But it's the mental thought. It's the thought that we put ourselves in trying to find problems within our society. Trying in something like that, number one, it's like your brain instantly goes to that. So it's like stop, pull yourself back, and think. Did they mean to put a penis on her suit?
No, not at all. It was just good costume design, and I fucking love the prototype armor in that first movie. When they show that in the post-credit, I fucking marked out.
Seriously, it kind of says a lot to the people who said, turn this picture upside down, it looks like a penis. And then it's like, how could you guys do that to her? It's like, guys, like, I never saw the armor upside down. I literally never meant to put penis and balls on her suit. But now that you've said that, it's got to be an accident. There's no way they did that on purpose. I mean, this isn't the whole, Castle of Atlantis on, like, Little Mermaid VHS set.
Oh, yeah, that was, like, legit intentional penis drawing hidden. But I just sent you I found the highlight of the suit chesty plate thing.
Oh, gosh.
No, it's the good thing. It's the ant and the wasp that are, like, hidden on their chests that are really cleverly done. You don't even have to click the article.
Okay.
The picture literally shows you.
I thought it was outlining the phallus. So
No. This is outlining the actual... Yeah.
All right, so, guys... If you guys hear me make any sort of weird noises, I am actually hooked up to a TENS unit. And the setting I have it on right now to help me out with my sciatic pain, it's on full blast, and occasionally it just pokes me, and it feels like a needle poking you. And the weird thing is, Nate, I'm sitting here all chillaxed, and, like, all of a sudden, like, and I haven't had this happen since I just put it on yesterday. But, like, my whole leg started doing this. Each time it, like,
just jelloing out.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, dude.
I love the Easter egg of the ant and the wasp on their suits. If you guys go to comicbook.com and just search Ant-Man, the second thing says hidden insect heads revealed on suits. And it's so cleverly done because it's not typical of a superhero movie, or more, I should say, modern superhero movies to not have some sort of highlighted thing that lets you know the superhero by way of marking their chest or some part of their body that makes them instantly recognizable. I think that Hank Pym / Scott Lang in Ant-Man, those characters work so well because they are identified by the awesomeness that they can shrink and now get bigger. The rewatch of Ant-Man was really cool too. Uh-oh. You're thinking about the penis now getting bigger. I knew it, you son of a bitch. Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
So this movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the other thing that's kind of cool is it's got to tie some stuff up from the first movie. And one of the big themes in the first movie is Hank's wife. What happened to her? Where did she go? Where is Janet Van Dyne? Apparently she went subatomic and is somewhere in the quantum sphere, which is another thing that's really cool. In Ant-Man, they actually set up the law of multi-universe dimensions, and they use the same methodology and imagery in Doctor Strange, which is really cool. So it's that continuity thing, and that's a thing to talk about again. So, just to talk briefly at the end of here about the Ant-Man thing, I'm excited for the movie, yeah. I think that people suck for constantly picking shit apart. Part of me feels like sometimes, Brando, motherfuckers just like... I don't want to specifically call out like certain DC fans. I feel like there are certain people who are legitimate trolls. We know that to be a fact in life now in the world we live in, who look for shit to try. Like, do you remember when it was a great controversy and everybody was like, oh man, Doctor Strange is going to tank at the box office now because they whitewashed the Ancient One. And it's like, Tilda Swanson? I don't know what her name is. The lady that played the Ancient One. She did a great job. So what that it was a lady and she wasn't Asian? It was an interesting perspective. Give it to her.
They said that she was Celtic. I mean, they just kind of changed the changed. They just kind of roll around a little bit. Yeah, no. It's funny you bring up DC because there actually is some DC stuff kind of floating around.
Oh yes, there is.
About how Affleck's last appearance could actually be in Suicide Squad 2, and we don't know if Flashpoint's even happening at this point.
Oh, that's right. They just released a schedule of movies that are coming out, and there was some stuff that was at one point announced that is now off the list, and other stuff that wasn't on the list that I don't remember how that all went. I'm pulling it up now. I forgot to mark this.
They have a new kind of, I don't want to say the word showrunner. This isn't Walking Dead. Because they got a new guy in charge, and they're kind of like changing, and they're making changes due to the lack of success that Justice League had, which is not fair to that movie. It wasn't Justice League isn't the greatest movie that you ever see, but I mean, for people like, to me, I thought that movie was every bit as good as the first Avengers movie. The only thing the first Avengers movie had going forward is that it had a little bit more of a easier time cycling into some of these characters because they already had their own films. So, they had to spend a lot more time in Justice League establishing Flash, establishing Cyborg, establishing Aquaman. But the other characters, they didn't have to. But so Batman, Batfleck could be bowing out, which we've kind of heard that he's been maybe wanting to do. And now it's to the point of where I can't remember the name of the director off the top of my head, Planet of the Apes. The guy that's in Batman
Matt
trilogy.
Reeves.
Matt Reeves. Thank you. The Reeves trilogy may not even be in canon with what's going on within the DCEU, and could just be a set of Batman films by itself.
Okay, so here's what I got here. From Revenge of the Fans Revenge Report, that's what it's called. They revealed author Mario Francisco Robles claims Warner Brothers' real slate of movies is currently Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman 2, Flashpoint, and The Batman, but not necessarily in that order, whatever that means. Of course, Aquaman is definitely coming out this year. I don't think anything else is going to all of a sudden magically get filmed and be out before Aquaman, so I think that is definitely first. But as far as Shazam through The Batman, that could all happen in whatever order everything happens, and I know Matt Reeves just recently released that he has his story in place for The Batman.
Now look, I don't know. Like how I started.
Oh
something
shit! You
with
know,
my
I was gonna follow up with the list of movies that were not on that list, if that makes
okay,
sense.
Go for it.
Well, hold on, because I left the fucking article like a dumbass. How does that always happen to me, Brandon? I feel like I push the wrong button sometimes, and then like on my phone, and I'm just like, no, and then you can't take it back. So here we go, back to the list. My fault, folks. Sorry to delay our show by a few minutos, seconds. No, that didn't work. So the last half of this has, according to the site, Warner Brothers isn't developing supposedly in the work projects such as Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, Lobo. We've got where the rest of the motherfucking list go. Oh, here it goes. Justice League Dark. Okay, hold on. What the hell? There's the list. Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, Lobo, Cyborg, Deadshot, Deathstroke, Black Adam, Booster Gold, Gotham City Sirens, Birds of Prey, Todd Phillips' Joker movie, and the Joker Harley movie have not been, according to this report, are no longer in development. This list differs slightly from what Warner Brothers released at the Brazil Comic-Con experience last month, which featured Wonder Woman 2, Aquaman, Flashpoint, Justice League Dark, Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, Shazam, Green Lantern Corps, and the Batman as part of its lineup. So there might be great controversy going on here. I think that's very interesting that shit's still shaking up.
It's interesting. I really don't like the idea of having all these DC films and then having a non-canon Batman series that fits in with those.
Right? It just doesn't feel right. And another thing, my opinion, Brando, if you were to rebuild the DCEU, it like okay, let's say very much like our government and society right now, we need to hit the big giant reset button and start all over. If you could do that with the DCEU, wouldn't you make the cornerstone of that universe the realest character to get into as in your Batman and then branch from that? Mm-hmm. Not your most, no offense, not your most unrealistic character in Superman, and try to back build that normal ass everyday dudes are going to compete with that. That just it from the jump, that decision has still never sat right with me.
Somebody actually brought this up and said that the Dark Knight trilogy would have been the perfect intro into a DCEU.
I think you said this, Brando, because you say that. Help me tell me if I'm saying this wrong or misspeaking for you. I think that you elaborated that how awesome would it have been for the Dark Knight trilogy. Dark Knight Rises is ending. It's at the end of the movie, and all of it out of nowhere, Superman drops from the sky. So you have this mostly realistic universe, and all of a sudden the most unrealistic shit possible just happens.
Right.
It sets it for the future. I'm almost certain you said that on a journey into comics in the past.
I may have, but I just remember it in the cockles of my brain somewhere. The thing is that you would have Bruce, whether or not, I mean, and of course that's the Christian Bale. He's like, yeah, peace out, bro. I'm out, Batman. You know, I'm dead. But then now he's in the kind of in the Affleck type thing, and he's older. He's broken up. He's wore down. You already have 3 adventures with this character. His beginning, his middle, and his end. But now here's the extension of that. Here's the Justice League. Here's Superman. Here's Wonder Woman. And he's just like, I got batarangs. He's like, I made these from hand, you know. And you could even go like can you imagine the whole like Superman Batman confrontation, and Batman's like, "Why do you want to kill me?" And Superman's like, "Even with my hearing, I couldn't make out what you said."
Why don't you kill me, Superman? What was that? Did you just say you want to eat a piece of ham? Why do you want to kill me, Superman?
I loved. Eventually, the bad Batman series started throwing in the Superman thing, and they actually did a thing where it was like Superman and Batman on top of like a building talking to each other, and it was the Dark Knight version. I don't know. I definitely I've actually been itching to want to go back and rewatch the Dark Knight series. It's very interesting. to think about that because now we had Affleck, and Affleck he's a fine Batman. I think he's a fine Bruce Wayne. There's nothing wrong with that version of of the character at all. And then I just kind of feel like they hit a few foul balls, and then they hit a home run with Wonder Woman. Justice League wasn't necessarily a foul ball, but it was an infield play. I feel like everyone's down on it, and I feel like no matter what they do, when it's the whole, it's not going to get the chance that it deserves.
I have an idea, but it's going to be a little convoluted, so stick with me here for a second, Brando. I think I have a really brilliant way to fix the DCEU. Just let whatever the movies that you have scheduled now, just let that shit come out. It doesn't matter. This is we'll call it the golden age of DC movies. This is, and I don't mean golden as in it was the best age. I'm saying it was first, right? It's almost the stone age of DCEU. I think what would be the dopest, coolest, most set in reality move you could make is in 6 to 10 years, and I know that's down the road a little bit, if you keep Gotham on the same strength path you've been on for 4 seasons, and we just got Veronica all the way caught up with Gotham. She watched all 4 seasons up to the mid-season finale of this year. And it's just, to me, it's way better than The Flash. I think I've been misspeaking for many years saying The Flash is my favorite superhero show because while I love The Flash and I love the superheroism of it, what makes the Gotham show so great is the deep evolution and slow building, character building of their villains, and watching these people who weren't bad people per se to start go off the deep end. And I think it would be beautiful in 6 to 10 years when David Mazouz, I think that's how you say his name. It's really a weird name. It's like Mazouz. So, oh, is that like Tommy Wiseau? I like that. I watched. We'll be talking about that on the next Foodies, which is next week. But I definitely did watch The Disaster Artist, and I loved it.
Hey, all right. So I know you had a thought, and I know you're going somewhere, but I'm interjecting. This is this kind of show. Sure. At work, Blaine and another coworker came up with like, what if Joker from Dark Knight was Tommy Wiseau? And it's like, you want to know how I got scars? I make pencil disappear. So, Batman, how's your sex life?
Rachel, you're tearing me apart!
You're tearing me apart, Rachel! And then then you got like shit like...
Does that mean in the final scene of the movie, he would shoot himself and it would be like, bang! And then he would fall over?
All right, so check it out.
Theatrics. Oh, great for the uninitiated.
I say it's hard for me to do with this now. But we are initiated, aren't we, Mr. Wayne?
Of course we are.
See, this actually changes the tone of Tommy's voice, so I don't know if I could do it very well.
Because this makes it sound like Bane.
It does. It really
Of
does.
course it does. He speaks into a Coke can.
That's Mountain Dew Lime? What's
Ice.
it called? Ice.
Mountain Dew Ice. But so then I'm like starting to do things like you spent too much time thinking about whether or not you could. You didn't stop to think if you should. So I started to think, like, you know how I did the Bane lines all those episodes ago?
Yeah.
I just started doing them all as like, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see serious shit.
I think that would be a great segment to, not for us to do, because I would want the actual, like, Tommy himself to do it. It would be hilarious to make him read a bunch of movie quotes, like from different movies, or like like how hilarious would it be? And I'm going to get back to my Gotham thought in a second, but Tommy Wiseau doing the Ezekiel 25:17 like speech from Pulp Fiction. How hilarious would that be?
All right. Well, I kind of did that at work.
What? You did the Ezekiel 25:17?
Well, not the whole thing because I don't have it all memorized. Let's just look up Pulp Fiction quotes, okay? Because
Sure.
I did a couple. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak to the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and finder of lost children. and I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance. In furious anger, those who attempt in poison to destroy my brothers. just
Brothers.
So I mean, there's that one, but then you got like, it's like,
say what, Brett? Say what again?
Oh, say what again? It's like you know what the funniest thing about Europe is? What? It's the little differences. I mean, they got the same shit. It's just different, It's like you can go into theater in Amsterdam and buy beer and see Hollywood movie.
I want to make authentic Hollywood movie.
Do you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese? They call it Royale with cheese. What do they call a Big Mac? Well, Big Mac is Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac. What did they call a Whopper? I don't know. Did not go to Burger King. And then one of the I don't know if I can say that one on air. That one's actually not too appropriate for our sensitive ears listeners.
Oh shoot! Darn! Dang! I was thinking about the English line, right? But it would be a little different because it's Tommy. So it'd be like English. I don't speak English. He's got that really thick accent. It's very thick. I can't do it so well. But back to the Gotham thing, Brando. Before I forget it, because I'm totally going to if I'm not careful. My thought would be when Dave Mazu gets like 23 or 24, announce that he's going to be officially franchised in as Batman and make Gotham the literal origin story of his Batman. So by the time he actually gets the full suit, you start putting him in feature films. You limit his appearances, you evolve him, and he grows up with the character. That doesn't mean he can't do other movies, and he doesn't have to be typecast as always being Bruce Wayne. I just think it would be the most historic and totally different thing for a company to do to make the TV show the actual legitimate groundwork that builds their movie universe in a world where they haven't done that yet.
You would think they would have done that with Smallville because that was set up so perfectly almost in time for that. Because especially in Smallville, we never actually see Clark with the suit.
Prototype suits, though.
Yeah, but you never actually get that moment of him with the cape and the tights. But I've been playing a game, Nate. Speaking of Batman.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it.
I've been playing the TaleTell Batman game. And
how you like it?
Have you played the season 1?
I have not played any of the TaleTell Batman game yet because I've been playing the TaleTell Guardians game that they fixed. I'm so happy they fixed that glitch, so I can actually play. I've already downloaded episodes 4 and 5. I just got to finish them and play them. Okay,
so they're on season 2. Season 1 is free right now if you're a PS Plus member, if you're listening to this during the appropriate time. So definitely go check this out if you're a Batman fan. They mess with some continuity stuff. They mess with some different things. It's kind of cool.
Interesting.
All right, because we get to find out more history about Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Ooh, develop a backstory a little more, huh?
Yeah, and
see them as people, not just as murder victims.
Well, Harvey Dent is running for mayor.
Like it.
Against longtime mayor Mayor Hill.
He's not going for DA? Is this after his DA run?
He is DA. He is current DA.
He is current DA. Okay, gotcha.
And he's running for mayor, and Bruce backs, financially is backing Dent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're friends. This is the point where him and Bruce are pretty close, and they're friends. And you guys are having like a little fundraiser event at Wayne Manor, and an unannounced guest shows up, and it's Carmine Falcone. And you talk to him, and he kind of basically makes a threat, get out of the way, all this kind of stuff. And then shortly after that, it kind of depends on what your actions are, because you can choose to shake Carmine's hand or not. If you shake his hand, everybody sees it, and then kind of lends into the fact of the tabloids or the newspapers saying that you welcome him into your home. Oops. I was just being a nice guy. I'm like, I gotta, because I'm thinking I'm Bruce Wayne. I kind of gotta play up
be the good guy, even though it's Carmine Falcone and he's the crime lord of Gotham at this point.
Right. So Then it comes out that the Wayne family fortune has been linked to the mob, Carmine Falcone. And then you find out that 3 people ran Gotham back in the day. Mayor Hill, Falcone, Thomas Wayne. They all ran together. Thomas Wayne got the land for Wayne Tower, took it from the Cobblepots.
Ooh, I love that.
And he declared, I can't remember her name now, but Mama Cobblepot, criminally insane, or just declared her insane in a lifetime, he put her away in Arkham.
Gertrude Cobblepot would be her name.
I don't remember what they named her in this show, or in this thing. It may be the same, it may not be. So
that's very interesting.
Then you go back to the murder scene. And you're sitting there with Alfred, and Alfred knew about this, and Alfred said, I had my bags packed. I couldn't stand to be around your dad anymore. Because I was gone, and then they were killed, but I couldn't leave you.
Damn.
And then, from what Bruce remembers, this was just a mugging. But then he remembers something that Joe Chill said, something about Falcone. And it wasn't just a mugging. The Waynes got murdered, and it was a hit.
Oh, shit. That's kind of awesome. That's pretty accurate. Like, a lot of what you're saying isn't the same. I don't want you to assume that. But it definitely has some really beautiful similarities to how the seasons of Gotham play out. Because while Carmine isn't directly involved with the hit of the Waynes, he is very remorseful that it happens. There's a moment in Gotham Season 2, I think, where he actually speaks with Bruce, and he's like, your father was a great man. I would never have wanted him dead, and there needs to be justice for whoever did this or whatever. But more interesting than Carmine dealing with Bruce in that younger moment, the storyline of Gotham that I think I really want to see played out in other mediums is actually Jim Gordon and Carmine Falcone. And this is directly tied back to the comics, Jim Gordon's dad was actually younger friends with Carmine before the mob shit. And then they came up together, and then Carmine turned bad, and Jim's dad turned good, and it was this, exactly the journey's end or whatever.
Okay, so you confront Carmine Falcone, and he's kind of toying with you, playing the whole role. What are you going to do to me, kid?
What age do they have him at? If you don't mind, if you
Carmine?
He like an older man,
older dude.
Grade?
Yeah,
good.
He's voiced by the guy that plays Sully in the Uncharted series.
Oh, that's awesome.
Batman is voiced by Troy Baker.
Cool.
He played Booker in BioShock Infinite. He played the Joker in Arkham Origins.
Yep.
So he's played both Batman and Joker.
That's kind of
cool.
awesome. He should do a voice thing where he talks to himself.
He also played Harvey and Two-Face in Arkham City.
Wow. He's
that was
done
him.
it all.
Same dude. Anyway, you find out due to so there's this drug that basically removes your inhibitions and makes you start saying stuff you really mean, or it
removes your filter.
Yeah. And during the debate with Dent and Hill, Cobblepot comes out, and there's this new group called the Sons of Arkham, in which they've only shown the leader Mask. We don't know who he is yet. Ooh. And he injects both of these guys with this stuff, and you find out Hill had the Waynes killed.
Oh, shit. That is an interesting twist.
And then there's a moment where you have to choose to save Dent or Selina, Catwoman. And if you don't save Dent, he gets a big, one of those big spotlights dropped on his face.
I like that. That's a different way to do it than it being acid every time.
So I saved Dent, but so Dent ends up becoming mayor because Hill gets
turn
killed.
him into Two-Face. Hill gets killed.
Cobblepot shoots him on live TV.
Nice. What happens to Selena?
She just gets shot, but she gets away.
Oh, that's good.
So Bruce goes to talk to Dent in the office, and Dent lets a little bit of that duality slip in.
Ooh.
And he slips into the voice. And he's sitting there, and he's trying to get he's trying to get this Sons of Arkham thing under control. He's trying to get all this stuff. It's all the weight's on him at once, And he goes, and then he's trying to help. He's like trying to get Bruce to kind of help him out with some stuff. And he's like, this is the best thing for us. This is the best thing for Harvey. And he goes, Bruce is like, who is us? And he's like, oh, sorry, Bruce. Just kind of lost myself there for a second. I'm sorry. And it's like, and then he's like, you need to call that therapist. And it's
I love that they're sprinkling
great.
it in.
Yes.
So he could still turn before this is all said and done, just by different means. And it's already planted.
Yes. But then the whole thing, because when you go see him after him getting his face smashed, he's got half of his face bandaged up. And you almost have the same conversation with him as if he just got beat up.
Oh.
But he's still he's still venting. He still kind of has the issues. But as with the real problem with Two-Face, it's all up here anyway.
Have you played this twice and made multiple decisions? Is that how you know that?
I'm still going through my first one.
What'd you do? Look it up? What the alternate decision would have led to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
After I played it, I'm like, because in the moment they make you choose, and I'm like, what if I wouldn't have? And that's what I did. So this has 5 episodes. I'm on episode 3.
Sweet. I'm
really digging it. I'm definitely gonna have to buy a physical copy. It is for the Switch, so I'll probably be picking it up over there, just so I can have another Switch game. The only issue I have with these games, man, is that now they're putting these discs out as a season pass disc, and you get the first episode on the disc, and the rest of them are all download. I don't like that. When they did it with The Walking Dead and with some of these other ones, Wolf Among Us, they waited to release the physical copy until all the episodes were out, and they put those on the disc. So I'm hoping that since the Switch is the Switch card, and season 1 of Batman has been out for a little while, that it's all on that one thing. And they're rolling out season 2 now, and the Riddler is involved. So I'm really looking forward to it, because I'm really enjoying this whole different side to the whole Waynes and everything, and seeing as how they're all meant to be they had their mask too.
Everybody's got their other side, the duality. I love that. I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about, and I don't mean this as the show, I mean this as the city, Gotham, brings out the duality in everybody. Mm-hmm. It literally is the city that pushes people either to the light or the dark, or forces them to find a balance of both.
See, and playing this game, it's totally not what I've been doing. I've been all Switch. Now I want to replay the freaking Arkham series. Now I want to go through play Arkham Origins again.
Oh my God, I love that game. I want to play those in chronological. I've thought about it, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Origins, Arkham City, and then Night.
The only issue is that they haven't put out a newer version of Origins. They did do a remaster of Asylum and City, because those are the Rocksteady games.
They called that the Arkham
Return to
Arkham. That's right.
And part of me wants to get that because I ended up switching systems and getting that Arkham Knight for the PS4. So I'll get those games and put those on the PS4, because I've got all the other ones on the 360. But
same.
I'm in a real big Batman kick now. I'm really digging the way they're telling the story, and of course it's a TaleTell, so it's all pretty much you talking and then fast or kind of like quick time events. But it is very fun to play, and I'm really enjoying the storyline play through. When you first meet Catwoman, right? She's the first character that you really meet, and you kind of have a fight with her, and you end up smashing in her goggle, and it kind of gives her a black eye, and then she ends up scratching your your face with her claw, and of course that's that's visible. So then when you first meet Selena, she is Harvey's girl that he's seeing, and she
got a black eye,
and then he's got that, Harvey walks away, and she goes, "Cool to see you again," without the get up, and you'd be like, "Sorry about the black eye." She goes, "Not the first one I've had,"
Damn.
And instantly, those two know who each other are, and I like that because that's not how they always do that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's an interesting thing that we don't talk about enough is what do you think about that, Brando? Is that one thing that is the best payoff of superheroes in general is when somebody finds out the truth about who their identity really is?
It can be if it's done really well.
Do you think that's why Marvel's lacking? There's not a lot of that. Everybody knows who everybody is for the most part.
Yeah, I know. That's one of my favorite things. That, and like Batman Begins. It's not who I am underneath or on the outside or whatever. However he says it. It's what I do that defines me.
Yeah. And then he says it again as Bruce.
Well, no, she says that to him, and she goes, because Bruce is like, this isn't really, because she calls him out when he's being the whole playboy with the girls buying the hotel, and he goes, all this, he's trying to be genuine. He goes, this isn't me. He's trying to let her know that I'm just kind of playing up. She goes, it's not who you are. I kind of underneath. It's what you do that defines you. So then when he saves her again later on as Batman, and he's about ready to go try and save the day, she goes, you never told me who you were. Or she goes, I don't even know your name. And he's like, he goes, it's not who I am underneath. It's what I do that defines me. And he says that exact same thing and flies off, and she knows it instantly who it is.
Yep.
And I like that because it's not like, what's up, babe? It's me, Bruce. I like how it's that moment. It's something that was built up. It was a seed that was planted. I liked it when, and to that other notion, it works for some characters. The whole Iron Man reveal of him like, I'm Iron Man. It works for Tony. That would not work for Batman.
Nope.
So I really dig it. I dig it that when, even with something so silly as Superman, when Lois kind of figures it out, it's like, here's this guy that I've been like gawking over, and he's been sitting next to me all this time.
Yep.
It's that kind of thing.
Sometimes it's right. What's right in front of you that you don't see.
Right.
I love that.
Playing through that Batman thing, you were talking about Gotham and how great it's been. It makes me yearn for a full-on Caped Crusader Batman on TV, given an hour a week. Let them tell their story. You can almost do a villain of the week story in with that because Batman's always prowling about.
Yep.
But then you can also have it build towards a bigger villain towards the season.
I mean, there are so many great rogues in Batman's entire arsenal, and you got to think they have a lot of those players on the board already in Gotham, and they're doing it so brilliantly. And the reason they're doing it so brilliantly is it seems like there's always like the big bad, the middle bad, and then the pawns. But the pawns start off as what you think is the big bad until you learn about the middle bad. And then you think the middle bad is your big bad, and then you learn the middle bad is just a pawn, and that helps to further develop the characters within that. So yes, I totally agree.
In the TaleTell version, Oswald and Bruce grew up together, and they were buds.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so they're like old time friends, and it's with the Waynes and the Cobblepots, and Oswald comes back into town wanting a revolution, and that involves taking out who's in charge. But of course, we all know that he becomes a big crime boss. Yep. So it makes me wonder how they're going to end up with the Cobblepot character in this version. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be him taking over, like that part of the crime family in Gotham? What's going on with Harvey? Because we're already seeing sprinkles of that. The whole thing where Selina's with Harvey, but then she's also kind of getting this thing with Bruce, and they're getting closer, and they're having some moments. However, it's sprinkled in throughout the thing where she always kind of does what benefits her when it's in the right moment. It's like, can you truly trust Selina? And that's always like, and that's true for a lot of the iterations of the character. Can you truly trust her? Because she's always going to benefit herself first. And if that benefits her by making out with Bruce and making him trust her more, and then kind of turning on him later, even though part of her may not want to do that, but it's going to help benefit her and her cause.
Totally. Totally love that. I can't wait to play that game. I'm definitely going to try to pick that up soon, at least Season 1, because Season 2 just started, right? Season 1's done already.
I think they're in the middle of Season 2, but Season 1's been done, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we're still talking about Batman here, Brando. Here's another thing about Batman. I don't know if you know this. There's a rumor that's really getting some steam right now. Do you know about this rumor? It's our replacement for Ben Affleck. It's getting close to becoming official, and it's terrifying me. But it seems that Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal will be the next Batman.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I don't think he's the worst actor I've ever seen, okay? I don't want people, because I'm going to be a little negative, but I don't want it to be like, I want to preface it with something that lets people know that I don't hate the guy, because I've never have. I've seen him in things I like. I've seen him in things I don't like, okay? Could he be a good Bruce Wayne? Possibly, yes. Could he be a good Batman? Can he take himself there? There's... Yeah, you have to think about the character that Batman is the character, Bruce Wayne is the mask.
Yep.
You know, that is something you've got to try and, like, that's been true on, like, a lot of different iterations of this character. That is the best way I've ever heard it described. Kevin Conroy said that's how he approaches the character. When he plays Bruce Wayne, he is playing more of a masked character than when he's playing Batman.
Correct.
So he's like using his tone, and he's being a lot lighter, and he's like you can almost sense that there's a little bit of like insincerity about that. He's being too light with his voice. But at this point, if that's who Matt Reeves wants, what made him think that? He has to have had read. He has to have had said, Let's do this. Show me this. Because, all right, check this out. I just watched something, part of something. It was like the making of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Uh-huh.
And remember how weird and not good Jake Lloyd is as an actor.
Yeah.
And then go watch the other kids. They show some screen tests with the other kids that were like the final few.
Oh.
And he blows them out of the water.
So it's like an obvious choice at that point. Clearly he's the winner, but then when he got to the screen, that tells me that it's the director, Brando. It's not the actor.
Well, no. He acted the same.
Oh. Weird.
We just don't buy it. Because it's the dialogue. Part of it's the dialogue.
Poorly written dialogue, yeah.
But, like, this kid takes the script and puts emphasis on this. Puts emphasis, like, says it like this. As a kid does that. And the other kids are just reading it. So, are there other people out there who could play Batman now? Sure. But what about Jake Gyllenhaal is making Matt Reeves go, I want this guy. I think he can do it.
Donnie Darko.
That can't be it. He's not a goddamn bunny robot.
Oh, nice. Old school JIC reference. Batman is not a goddamn robot with rabbit ears.
So, in some cases, you're thinking, is it the directing? Is it the writing? Sometimes let's just sit back and let this kind of come to fruition. Because no matter what we do, no matter what we say, this is either going to happen or it's not. So we can be critics all we want, but I'm definitely going to wait and see what it looks like, what it feels like. Because I think Gyllenhaal is at this moment, or he has this ability to completely, for me, I'll buy it or I won't. And
if he's got you sold, you're sold, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true. I like.
There's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, Affleck as Batman, that's gonna suck," and he's not. He's a good Batman.
He was a great Batman. They did a great job making him a very believable Batman.
And I love the insecurity that he brings in forward. I love the older grizzled version. We're coming off of Christian Bale, who was a really good Bruce Wayne and Batman in itself, even with the voice. even if that was overkill, think about how successful those 3 movies were. To a lot of people, that is Batman.
Yep.
To me, Michael Keaton was a Batman. But and then you look at a lot of the other Batmans that have ever played Batman. You're looking at Val Kilmer.
Bad.
Is he a good Well, I think he's a great Bruce Wayne.
Yes, terrible Batman though.
I don't think that he's quite George Clooney. If you're looking at an Adam West era type Batman, I think he's great. Any other iteration of that, trying to think this is the Dark Knight, doesn't work. So when you're thinking about and then Kevin Conroy, to me, Kevin Conroy is very much is Batman, as he has every right to be associated with that role as any of the others, even if he is just the voice, because he does more with that voice that a lot of these other guys do on a big screen. There's a reason why he's been Batman for 20, 30 years, even if there have been other ones sprinkled in. He is the voice of Batman. When I read Batman comics, I hear Kevin Conroy.
It's true, because he is the voice.
The only one I think that drifted out of that was Dark Knight Returns, and then that's because he's a little bit older. And even though Batman Beyond gave us old man Batman there, with like pretty much this like grumpy Bruce Wayne, I didn't read Returns quite like that. But when I read Hush, to me, Kevin Conroy is that voice.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. It's the best way to read comics, in my opinion, is with especially when you read Joker and you think about Mark Hamill. Those two just forever, in my mind, are the voices of those characters, if you were to quantify what the comic voices sounded like also. If that makes any sense at all here, Brando. We're not done with interesting, crazy casting news. I don't know if you're aware of this at all, man. So there was a report that was coming out that Spidey's going to appear in Venom. We're getting Spider-Man in Venom, but wait, that's not true either, because it looks like we're only getting Peter Parker in Venom. How that works, how you have Parker and no Spidey, meaning Tom Holland has agreed he's going to be in Venom. What? And then, of course, that begs to question, if that is the case, if Venom includes Tom Holland, by default you have officially stated Venom is canon to the MCU, which means it's got to be a better fucking movie than that trash Sony's been doing before. And I'm not saying that Sony has done nothing but trash Spider-Man films. I love, 5 out of the 7. 6 out of the 7, really, because only Spider-Man 3 to me doesn't hold a candle to anything else. But Spider-Man 1 and 2, awesome. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, awesome. Homecoming, awesome. Civil War, awesome. Spider-Man 3, fucking emo. That's not Venom. Get out of here. Sandman was the best part.
It makes you wonder. I'm genuinely excited to see how they do it, because we're in a day and age now where with comic book characters where you don't necessarily need to do a direct and full-blown origin story with it. So I think it'd be like you could almost, and this wouldn't be good. This is why I'm not a filmmaker. But you could just have him like thud on a building and go, "I'm Venom." Yeah. You want to know my backstory? Go read a fucking book. And then he just jumps off the damn building. He's like, yeah, I've got stuff going on. And he's just like, wait, what the hell? And you're like, and then like, but over the course of the dialogue and through the course of the story, you kind of realize, okay, he's in the Spider-Verse. He's got this and that. It would be cool if you could just jump into the character and get some of that backstory stuff sprinkled in, to where you're already invested into this guy as a character, as Eddie Brock, and you get more invested into that. And then you get like, how did he become Venom? Well, then this happened, and then this happened, and then he's got this backstory over here. But that's not the selling point of the story. Well, think about it, because when you go to the Incredible Hulk, they don't do the origin story of that at all. It's just, that's like the opening credits is the origin story,
which I liked.
Yeah, and then so when you go into like
Homecoming, no origin story.
Homecoming has no origin story. Like, he was bit by a spider,
and neither
seen it.
And neither does Civil War, which is the preamble. Exactly.
Like they just said, oh yeah, he's doing this, he's doing that, and then you go like, Ant-Man had an origin story, but it's a new Ant-Man. So the original had an origin story, but they don't really touch on it. There's different and unique ways that we can tell a story now that doesn't just have to be him standing underneath the bell tower having the symbiote fall on him.
However, Brando, Venom doesn't come out till October. Mm-hmm. Infinity War is in May.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to evolve and level up the overall MCU. You, technically speaking, have 99% of your properties usable at this point. Marvel and Disney have almost every character back home in some form or fashion and usable, right? Why don't you make Spider-Man get the symbiote at the end of Infinity War and don't tell that story? Don't tell what happened to him during that time. Tell that in Venom. Not necessarily all the way through. Like, you're not going to directly have Spider-Man, obviously, so you can't really do Black Suit or anything. But you can have Parker losing the suit at the beginning of the movie, and guess what you do with Homecoming 2, which is what we're going to call this for now. You fucking tell that story. How did he get the symbiote? What happened to the symbiote? How did he get off of him? What did he do? What did it turn him to? We saw what it did to Eddie Brock. What the fuck did it do to our Spider-Man?
You're almost Tarantinoing it in a way because you're telling the Eddie Brock story first, and then you're going back retroactively and telling it later. Which, I mean, that definitely could work. I mean, because
I'm just saying a cool workaround.
Films, a lot of people argue that. Like nobody goes see it because they know how it ends. Well, that was the whole point of the Star Wars prequels, is we kind of knew how these movies were going to end.
And they still did really, really great in box office and whatnot.
Every single year they were the top box office earnings. So,
and we talk about them to this day, even though the prequels weren't the best. We're still talking about them.
Yeah,
so they're divisive, no less.
It's funny watching that whole Phantom Menace thing that I was talking about. Watching George and them make this movie, and them talking about budget, them talking about all this and that. It really kind of opens your eyes, and it's not just so wow that that you think about that movie with such a negative connotation. But to get an even glimpse behind the scenes of what they were going through to make that movie gives you a little bit more respect for what they were doing. They were really ambitious.
Where can I find this? Is this on the Blu-rays?
It might be on the Blu-rays. It's like, but it was on YouTube. Like Star Wars uploaded it like in 2014. It was just like a 1 hour long thing. Maybe I'll send you the link. It just kind of cool because it just kind of shows you like them wanting like him and the producers and then the actors and then how excited they all were, and then them trying to make this cool new story. And then there's a whole scene with George Lucas showing like a mock-up, like a thing of like the droid, of like a droid soldier to
sweet
to Spielberg. And then Spielberg's like, so what we got here? And George is like, this is essentially like the stormtrooper like of the movie. And he's like, they all march, and he's talking about this, like, he's like, essentially, like, they come to realize that these are like very, like, these are under par. These aren't, we could do better. He goes, Jedi's cut through them like butter. They're like these things are really just fodder. He goes, but what, like when he starts like describing this big battle scene of like Napoleon-esque with these big marching armies with the Gungans and the droids and all this stuff. And he's like, you have this big kind of like war and peace type battle at the end. He goes, you got like the space battle stuff, but then you got this ground battle marching and all this stuff going on. He goes, that's gonna be really cool to shoot. And like how grandiose his vision was, and like they were actually going to do Jar Jar only as the face as CG because they had the actor walking in the suit. But then they realized with the amount of shots that he was in versus the animation for the head versus the animation for the full body was only going to cost them an extra $1 million.
Might as well just go all the way and make it really look solid.
Well, and George is like, well, $1 million saved is $1 million earned. He was still kind of like, well, let's see. But it's obvious they went with a full CG thing. But it was just...
The guy that plays Jar Jar is in the movie, not as Jar Jar also.
Yeah.
And he's in the bar scene.
But it was just really cool to like have a little bit of a wake-up call. As fans, as critics, we think about the finished product so much, and maybe it's just me. I'm so fascinated by making films that let's take a seat back and let's look at the process of what they went through to get here to there, and it's almost I almost had the same thing with people who like dog on Saint Anger. You know, I'm like, if you want to give that album a chance, go watch Some Kind of Monster, and you'll have a new respect for it.
I like that. I'm really excited to watch this documentary at some point that you're going to hopefully possibly send to me. Brando, I think we should maybe end the show on some comic book news. We are a comic book show. I have a little bit of news to bring to you. Do you know about this news? Oh, wait, I think I did. I typed it, right? Did I type it? I typed it.
Did you type it? Did you type it right? Maybe you typed it wrong.
Or
maybe you typed it left.
Well, we've put this. The show has been pushed back 2 days because of situations. So So I can't believe I forgot the XLR cable. That was ridiculous.
Action Comics 1000.
Ah, there it is. I knew I wrote it down. Here it is.
You have a few more ideas.
Oh, I have a few more instead of a few more ideas. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but for a long time, Superman has not had red tights like the underwear like he did back in the day. They got rid of it. They made it all solid blue, right?
He hasn't been wearing the fruit of his looms.
Correct. He's not looming it up. He's not wearing his undies on the outside, Captain Underpants style. Listen, Superman has a very distinct image. He's a part of history. He's a very legendary character. He will be the first comic book-based superhero that's very specific. I have to say that because there are anti-heroes that have long since destroyed this record. But Superman and Action Comics will be the first comic-based, or the first superhero-based comic book to reach 1,000 consecutive issues. Of course, the first comic book to reach 1,000 consecutive issues. Do you know what that is, Brando, by any chance?
Spider-Man?
Judge Dredd. Spider-Man is almost to 800. And that's some news I have, too. See, look at you. You unlocked more news for me. That was great. That was like you accidentally just beat a boss on hard mode and then unlocked free play or some shit. So here's the deal, Brando, on the side. So yes, okay. It's cool. I'm excited that they're bringing the red tights back for Action Comics 1000. Superman, obviously, heavily featured in Action Comics. His first appearance is Action Comics 1. Nick Cage had one that was stolen. It's over $1 million book. It's him lifting the car. You guys know about the history and blah, 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 blah. So it's really cool to see these red shorts come back. That's one thing that's cool that's happening in comics. On the flip, here's an interesting thing, Brando. Around Amazing Spider-Man 565, I think. That's a guess. Don't quote me on that, folks, but I think it was around 565. I've slept since then. It's right there. I can kind of see it in my box, but I can't get to it. Dan Slott took over writing for Spider-Man. He's been writing Spider-Man for a very long time. He not only wrote Spider-Man, he killed Peter Parker, wrote him out of Spider-Man, wrote Superior Spider-Man, which is arguably one of the coolest side stories they've done in the Spider-Man's eminent history. I love the Superior Spider-Man being Doc Ock. Dan Slott is finally leaving Spider-Man. And his final issues are going to be 796 to 802. And he has introduced a new villain into the Marvel Universe that accidentally was already spoiled who the man behind the mask is. Thanks, Canada Amazon. A listing posted that had the full description for the collected paperback that said exactly who the villain was in this story well before they finished writing it. So who knows? Maybe they'll switch to Doozle Roozle it, and they can always change things. Comics can be rewritten way before. I mean, if he's collecting, I think 796 just came out. So we're a few issues here away from the end of this story. It is possible for them to go, okay, you guys spoiled this thing, we're going to change it on you. So I'm not going to spoil, well, I'll spoil it because fuck it. But spoilers from here on out, folks. There's a new villain in the Spider-Man universe called Red Goblin. And it's like an eviler, more vicious, more death is the only answer for Parker and Spider-Man type goblin, right? And I haven't read this yet. I'm just reading this from what the article was telling me. So this Red Goblin is this mysterious character. They have no idea who he is. He's violent and crazy and never anything like Parker has ever faced before. He's even more chaotic than, say, Carnage, right? Problem is is that Canadian Amazon revealed that it's Norman Osborn the whole time. It's just Norman in a different colored suit, which kind of takes away from it. So I'm hopeful that if that spoiler is true, they switch it and actually have a real, shocking twist that we don't see coming for
It's
Dan
Uncle Ben.
Slott's finale.
It's actually Uncle Ben.
Oh my God, that would actually work because when they did Edge of Spider-Verse and then they did the whole Spider-Verse story, there was a universe where Parker was killed, very much like Flashpoint, and Ben was Spider-Man. Of course, he's a little slower, a little more out of shape, and couldn't quite do it as good.
I was going to say, it's not even his Uncle Ben, it's like the rice maker.
Oh, gee. Just some guy. Hey,
he's
Parker.
the dude that's on the cover of like Uncle Ben's rice, and it's Uncle Ben. He's like, it's like the Scooby-Doo ending. It's like, I'd have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
See, I thought about that more as wrestling, and it's Uncle Ben. It was me, Parker. It was me all along.
He's like, I eat your rice all the time.
and you're not the guy I watched die on the street that day. This is fucking weird, dude.
This
Throwing
is why
my chi off.
This is why we're not comic book writers. Right?
No, because we would just go for the weirdest, most bizarre. I've always said, though, I would love to someday get my hands on the opportunity to write a story for one of the major characters. Not to say that it would be like an official thing, but just to write a cool story I think would be a lot of fun, Brando. I don't know. Wait, we do have one more piece of news that's not necessarily comic book related, but it's comic book TV show related. Scott Gimple, you're gone, bitch. You gone. You out. The Walking Dead.
Well,
You
he
killed
got
it.
a promotion.
Oh, lame.
He wasn't fired. Yeah, he got a promotion, and now some other showrunner is going to come in and take over his spot.
Just
But
bizarre timing, you know?
well, I mean, some people are wondering, like, well, are they going to be able to change? No, they're not going to change, dude. Carl's dead.
Or he's not. I still argue that he could have been bit by a whisper. That would be cool.
They've come out and said that nope, and nope.
Well,
to all the other theories, they've said nope, he got bit by a walker.
I don't see this lasting more than its next season that they officially got renewed for Season 9. I think Season 9 will be the final season of The Walking Dead. Then I've heard Norman Reedus hates the show now. He's very upset with how they did that he was not happy with the death of Carl. I've also heard that Andrew Lincoln is unhappy that is what happened. And that's what kind of leads me to think, if all these major stars are so upset that that's the move they made, why did they make that move? And I think it's just they're throwing us off, man. I don't think that Carl's really going to have been bit. I think this is very much like that whole everyone's looking so hard to see that he is dead, and it's so there's no way they'll undo this now because there's so much controversy that wouldn't it be the craziest thing if they did undo it and it wasn't really what happened, you know? Yeah, they cut his hair. You can fucking wear a wig. He can wear a wig and pull that off. Till his hair grows back.
Yeah, but they've already filmed it. They've already said their goodbyes. They've already finished the season. He's dead. And basically what Andy Lincoln has come out and said is that moment changes everything. It changes everything for Rick. It changes everything for the show. That losing Carl changes this story tremendously. And that's what we're going to be looking at from part 1 in the first half to part 2. Going forward with the war on Negan. This is like something else that Rick is going to have to come to terms with. And apparently we are going to be seeing more future stuff, flash forwards.
Ooh, flash forwards are interesting because I want to go back and rewatch the first episode of this season and see if Carl's there. By the way, Brando, remember that thing we were doing off air?
Yeah.
This thing? Somebody who posted this post liked my comment.
Oh.
So, there you go. We're going to make shit happen, and then we might get somebody like that on the podcast.
That'd be cool.
Make a life friend.
That'd be cool.
Maybe he and I will become best buds.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry, I had to.
That happened.
It was so there. Also, I want Podcastrophe to officially have shirts that just say in the Hulk. I'm actually going to design this, so it's going to already have hit by the time Blaine and everybody gets to listen to this. They're already going to have seen it in the JIC network group. but they need to have a Hulk Hogan shirt that just says Heritage, but in the Hulkamania
font. Yes, we need that.
Oh my gosh! Tell me, I'm gonna make it happen. You just wait. I promise you.
It's funny because I was reading off air. We were talking about the stuff that's going on currently with like our government and everything, and I said I was reading the history of like U.S. government shutdowns, and the last one had to do a little bit with like Ted Cruz and the Heritage Foundation. And when I read it, I could not read it that way.
I can't unhear that word now in Tyler's voice, most specifically. Like, while you and Blaine introduced that term to me first, Tyler's delivery of that is like, it just sticks in my brain. When I hear that word now, it's Tyler yelling it, Heritage! You know?
Dude. If only you could have been there for the actual, like...
I wish. I still wish.
That term.
By the way, how does that make you feel? I want. This is probably the last thing we'll talk about on the air before we call this episode. But how does it make you feel that your job is literally like the training grounds for JICN? It's like our performance center.
In a way, sure. There's a cat that we work with now.
Meow.
They need to get him on the air, and he is just so. Maybe he wouldn't be as funny like on air. I don't know. It's one of those things that maybe you put a microphone in front of him, he'd clam up. But he says some of the most off the wall shit. And
yeah,
it's pretty funny.
I like off the wall shit. I also liked Podcastrophe last week. If folks didn't listen, Rolo returned. It was hilarious.
All right, so there was me and this kid were talking one day, and this kid's like 20 years old, and he's all like, I just don't really. He has a lisp, guys. I'm not making fun of him. It's just the way he talks. I'm just doing my impersonation. Hi, Cameron.
I've heard of Cameron before. What up, Cam?
And he's all like, "Yeah, I just don't really know if I need Oprah running for president. We already got too many people who don't understand politics."
You know what's funny? I think this is 2 weeks in a row we brought up politics. I think you maybe talked about that to me off air last week or on air. I don't recall.
I don't remember, but just politics cracked me the hell up. I'm like, that's it now. U.S. politics.
Politics is awesome. I want to utilize that. We need to create a band. It needs to be somebody, like fake name, and the Politics. I don't know what the name is. I don't know who the artist is that, like, Doug Dastardly or some shit, and the Politics.
Doug Dastardly. I love your names.
I just come up with stupid shit. I feel like sometimes Stanley, I'm just like 2 first-letter names. Make it work. Matt Murdock, Peter Parker,
I'm just
Bruce
Banner,
Reed Richards,
Fred Fredrickson.
Fred Fredrickson. Holy shit. And the Politics. I kind of like that. Turd Ferguson and the Politics. Oh, my God. Your Burt Reynolds chew is stellar. I wish people that are listening to us could see you visibly just chew like that. Your Norm Macdonald, Burt Reynolds chewing is stellar. It's the best impersonation you have.
No, it ain't.
I still love Sean Connery's, what is it? He answers with $11 billion. 11 is not a number?
That's not what your mother said last night. You're back.
I'll take the penis for 500. That's the pen
mightier.
is.
The penis mightier.
The pen is mightier. That's right. The penis mightier. Oh, my favorite from that bit overall that they've done on the Jeopardies was when one of the categories was the color yellow. All you had to do is say the color yellow, and no one would do it.
Words that end in hamburger.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I like that one. I like an album cover. I'll take anal bum covers.
Anal bum covers, yep.
I love it.
Shit, Brando.
I think that might wrap it for us this week. I don't know if there's much else to talk about. It has been a pretty slow news week for almost everything.
Next episode, we'll be able to talk about the next Doomsday Clock, folks, because 3 drops this week. It'll drop on Wednesday if you're listening to this today.
Hell yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I really dug the first 2 issues. So
Yeah, can't wait. And then, of course, in 2 or 3 weeks here, we're going to be having our next Walking Dead discussion. So, and something never happened that I wished would have happened, Brando, and I'm so bummed by it. So we just had issue 175 of The Walking Dead. This is 175 of JIC. The next Walking Dead is 176, but that's next week before it comes out. So then we will officially be ahead of The Walking Dead in numbers. We've caught it and gotten ahead of its monthly episodics versus ourselves. So,
well,
damn.
I guess that's the way it was.
Are you going to do the plugs? You want me to plug? I fucked up the plugs earlier. Maybe you should try
You
them.
fucked up all the plugs, guys. You can check us out on all kinds of podcast media. Of course, we're on iTunes. We're on our great hosts of Podbean. We are on Stitcher Radio and Google Play Music and Spotify. If that's where you want to download us, by all means, get us on your favorite service. We're there. Of course, we're you want to reach out to us. You want to check us out what we're doing online. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagrams. We're on at Journey to Comics. We're on JIC Network on Twitter. We can find it. We're sharing all the episodes. We're trying to interact with people the best we can. And is there another social media? I think that is the social media.
Patreon.com/Journey into Comics. Join us for the road to Infinity War. I did not fuck that up. We are going through all the MCU movies. As I stated earlier in the episode, I just want you guys to know that, seriously, we're doing this for y'all. If you're a patron, $3 a month. You spend $3 on bullshit every month. Throw it our way. It'll help us with hosting. It'll help us with travel. It'll help us go to cons. It'll help us do all kinds of shit. It'll help us with future branding and buying T-shirts that say Heritage and all kinds of cool, crazy horse shit. So join us at patreon.com/Journey into Comics. I promise you, you will not regret donating your $3 a month to us, because we're going to be bringing you all kinds of shit. Plus, you get early access to the network. All 10 shows. All 10. Not 9, and then go to GameAddicts.com for Game Addicts. No, on our Patreon, you get all 10 in one spot. You don't even have to search. You just join us, and then every time we're done, working on an episode, as soon as I'm done editing this, maybe even Sunday, which is today, it will go up before it officially goes up for you patrons. So that's all I've got, Brando. Is there anything else you wanted to add to our lovely episode of Journey into Comics today?
No.
That was my best, speedy announcer voice. I don't know. That was
speedy announcer voice. I love it.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, folks, for this episode of Journey into Comics, it's been episode 175, and I've been Nate.
I've been Brando.
Keep filling your brains with shit, and don't forget to flush.